This video is about workplace sociopaths. Now, you've probably all been around one and not even noticed. Although, when a workplace sociopath is at their peak, it's unlikely they'll just slip under the radar, especially when you know what to look for. Sometimes you've had someone mess with your head so much that you can't even figure out whether they're duplicitous and evil or whether you're the one going stark raving mad. And that's why I've made this video, to help you identify a sociopath in your workplace. So here are 10 signs that potentially you are working with a sociopath. Number 1, they're usually very intelligent. They often hold management positions or they are CEOs of companies, and they've mastered their manipulative techniques, their spurious charm, and their superficial relationships to get exactly where they are. But everything they do is truly self-serving. So the first checkbox, as hard as it may be to admit it, your sociopath boss is probably highly intelligent, successful, and maybe even a little likable too. Number 2, you've probably noticed little lies, little mistruths, or the stretching of truth, and you've dismissed it along the way. But look beneath these subtle deceptions and you'll probably find someone who is slowly, insidiously, and intentionally destroying the fabric of your office or workplace. These are not minor issues to explain away or forgive. They're actually quite devious and sinister attempts to have you second guess yourself, to shift responsibility and blame to someone else, and to cleverly manufacture an environment of mistrust and fragility. Then the sociopath boss can present as the superhero of the company and keep everyone and everything together. Everyone will be cheering them on. Yay, sociopath! Number 3, workplace sociopaths are usually very interesting. They're very alluring and intriguing. This is because they'll probably tell you personal stories to draw you in or befriend you. But the stories are usually all BS or designed to gain your trust and confidence. Either way, their stories are usually all fabricated. But if you're a trusting person and easily impressed, you'll probably think your workplace sociopath is so funny, is kind, intriguing, and quite likable. That will be your fatal error when they turn around and stab you in the back, so don't fall for that persuasive charm. Big mistake. Number 4, they will pit people against people. This makes them feel powerful, like the ultimate puppeteer of the workplace. They will have you believe they trust you enough to tell you something really personal, and they may ask you not to repeat it, and you won't because you're genuine, trustworthy, and not a sociopath. And then they'll do the same to someone else in the workplace. But really what they're doing is pitting you against someone else so they can feel that they are ultimately in control. This behavior will destroy morale and team coherence. If you have poor team morale and internal conflict in your workplace, it might be worth looking into the boss's situation to see if they have some sociopathic tendencies. Number 5, they are so unlikely to apologize. This is because usually they will find a way to make it someone else's fault anyway. But if they are trapped in a corner with no way out, you may get a very superficial apology from them. But there's also another thing they might do. They might give you an OTT apology, an over-the-top apology, because both these strategies are used to deflect their own responsibility and to ensure they keep you under their control. So very vague or over-the-top apologies may be signs of a sociopath. Number 6, have a look at their personal lives. Their sociopathic tendencies aren't unique to the workplace. If they seem to have very fickle, dominating, or complicated personal relationships, this may also be a warning sign. Sociopaths have enormous egos, and this makes it hard for them to engage in authentic and mutually satisfying relationships. If they hide their personal lives, it may also be a sign. But in true sociopathic style, you have to wonder if the loving family picture on their desktop is really of their family, or if it's the stock image that they left in the photo frame when they bought it last week at Costello. Number 7, you might see them act extremely kindly or be generous or giving to otherwise complete strangers. Now, not everyone that cares for strangers is a sociopath, but sociopaths like to be visible and acknowledged for their charitable deeds. They are likely only to give or indulge in these acts of random kindness and generosity where there are onlookers sitting there ready to witness and provide compliments and acknowledgement to them for their beautiful, kind heart. Ugh, Don't buy that. It's part of the illusion and it potentially could suck you in. That's how they reel you in and gain your trust. Watch them when no one's around and they will step right over the panhandler on the street. Sociopaths are always only about themselves. Number 8. They can be partiers. They can be impulsive and engage in some reckless, recreational drug activities, sexually exploitive and impersonal kind of relationships. They're pretty reckless when given the opportunity. Their constraint as an executive or boss, that front that they have to put on, is hard to maintain if you have to act in a very highly professional and restrained way for 8 to 10 hours a day. Kind of makes sense that when they clock off, they get a little crazy. If you're one of the chosen few at work and you've been privileged enough to be invited into your sociopathic boss's inner circle, then he or she, usually he, may even have trusted you with some of their wacky personal stories. But they'll tell you, shh, don't tell anyone. That's your little secret because he trusts you. Number 9, sociopaths tend to be hotheads. They like the workplace to know they are in charge and they love to publicly humiliate and shame people. This lets the rest of the office know who's in charge and gives them a warning sign to toe the line, or they may get a public flogging too. Sometimes you may not even know what you've done wrong and you may be chastised for some failure that's not even your own. Guess that's a sign your sociopathic boss doesn't like you much. And if that's you, you better watch out, because if he's out to get you, you may either need to kiss the ground he walks on or find another job or get a really good lawyer who's experienced in these behaviours, because the pursuit of a sociopathic boss can be relentless. Well, until he finds his next victim, and then you might be his best buddy overnight. Number 10. Now really I could probably have listed another 10 traits here, but I said 10. So this last one would have to be the micromanaging and the credit stealing. He will often take notes of everything you do, watching every movement you make, and he'll want to control every part of your work life, maybe some of your personal life too. I once had a sociopathic boss show up on my doorstep in shorts and thongs just to make sure I was home when I said I would be. You may be also subject to constant criticism and then praise from a podium, back and forth like a yo-yo, and you'll feel like you're losing your mind. And all that great work that you do will somehow be to his credit. But if you screw up, that's going to be entirely your fault because you didn't listen to him. Number 11. Okay, I lied, but not in true sociopathic style, but just because I couldn't end this video without telling you about one of the most obvious traits which a sociopath will demonstrate. You probably already know this one, but it's their ego and their grandiosity. One of my sociopathic bosses told me how he had been stabbed in the heart 20 times and that he'd taken a bullet for the American president. He'd mixed with Hollywood's greatest stars. He even told me he had a homosexual encounter with a very particular and very famous actor who I won't name because I know the story's not true. He told me many other elaborate stories too. When I asked my colleagues if he told them similar stories, they had said yes. And when I asked them, don't you think that's a little bit unbelievable? They had all replied, yes, but why would he lie to me? Well, because he's a sociopath. That's why, and you're not. I mean, that's why they do the things they do and normal people don't. Normal people end up sitting there questioning themselves over things like this because they can't imagine that anyone would behave that way or lie like that. Well, if you have someone in your office taking or talking about being stabbed 20 times to the heart and taking bullets for the president, I would say you can be pretty sure you're dealing with a sociopath or a pathological liar. Either way, someone you probably don't want to be working with. If you think you're working for a sociopath, I'd consider how important the job is for you. In my experience, sociopathy is not a crime, it's a personality style, a really shitty, crappy one. And whilst we know that they are messed up and the whole team would be better off without them, it's unlikely HR can do much unless you lower your standards and try and catch them out. But even then, they will just sit back and point to how obsessed and crazy you are for going to such lengths to try and make them look bad. And this can potentially backfire on you. Whilst I hate seeing the bad guy win, my experience with workplace sociopaths tells me that it's unlikely much is going to get done. I mean, they've spent their whole life mastering these behaviours and getting to the top. I've worked with a few sociopaths, and in my experience, it's only been on one occasion that the sociopath has been fired. But even then, he left a trail of destruction from which the organisation never really did recover. There's some really good websites on the internet that can teach you how to protect yourself against sociopaths at work. Maybe check them out, but ultimately consider your own mental health. Work should be a place of fun, enjoyment, trust and loyalty. And if you're not in that kind of healthy workplace, I really hope you find a way out or through your situation, because it can be a truly crazy place to be and you don't deserve that. That's it for now. Take care of yourselves and each other and have a very happy and peace-filled day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.